welcome back to Learning with Liz. If you've not visited my channel before, I am Liz and I create content for teacher trainees and those wanting to go into the teaching world. In today's video, we are looking at should you go down a PGCE route or should you take the SCITT route to become a qualified teacher. This video has been highly requested based on how popular my recent video has been, all to do with my journey with the SCITT. Obviously there's quite a few different teacher training routes that you can go down to become a qualified teacher. However, predominantly the PGCE is a very popular route that a lot of people take. So I wanted to compare the two just so you're able to decide which route would be best for you. So this video is going to be looking at the similarities and the differences between the two of them, and stick to the end because I'm going to be sharing with you my honest opinion of which route I think you should take. If you also aren't too sure if you want to be a primary school teacher or a secondary school, high school teacher, I do have a video that guides you through which route might be better for you. So you can click on that video to also guide you through. The links will be in the description box below. Before we kick off with the similarities and the differences, I just wanted to clarify that either route that you take, whether it be the PGCE or the SCITT route, both are highly demanding. They are 9 months long and it is a tough year. So just be prepared for that. You are going to be supported in whichever route, but just a little disclaimer, there may be some tears, there may be some sweat, but there'll be a whole lot of love, there'll be a whole lot of learning going on, and you'll be a better person for it in the end. Inspiring students in the whole education world is what we go in to do and make life better for them and also for ourselves as well, learning so many different things that we can take away with us. If you want to carry on being a teacher in the future, or if you want to go down a different route in education or in a different career path anyway. So without further ado, let's get started with the similarities between the PGCE and the SCITT. The first similarity is to do with the qualifications. So if you're going into a postgraduate certificate of education, a PGCE, or a school-centred initial teacher training, SCITT, both of these routes you finish with qualified teacher status, a QTS, so you can get the same sort of certificate by the end of the route. Similarly as well, going into either the PGCE or the SCITT, you have to have completed an undergraduate course or a degree. It can be any kind of degree. It doesn't have to specifically be that subject if you're going into secondary school teaching or primary school education, but you have to have some sort of degree. The second similarity between the two routes is that it's not specifically designed for you to become a master of that subject you're teaching. So this might seem really confusing because you think, well, surely throughout this whole year, I should be becoming like a specialist at my subject. And yes, throughout the year, you'll be becoming more knowledgeable about the content that you're teaching. So for me, religious education, but luckily I had a degree that was to do with that subject anyway. So I was already pretty good at the subject. Like I was saying beforehand, you don't have to have a degree specifically in that subject that you're teaching. So if you're going into primary school initial teacher training, you don't have to have a degree necessarily in primary school education. Similarly, if you want to be an RE teacher at secondary school, you don't have to have an RE degree, but bear in mind, you're only able to teach the year group or key stage below what qualification you got. So if you're a little bit confused with what that means, it basically means if I think about the A-levels that I took, I did history, I did drama, sociology and RE. I could theoretically teach history, drama and sociology at a GCSE level or below. I can't teach them at an A-level because I don't have a degree in that subject. Maybe throughout time, whilst you've been a teacher, you've become more knowledgeable in that subject and maybe you'll be able to teach it at A-level, but based on like coming into the teaching world, you're just able to sort of teach the key stage below your own qualifications. So If you are not confident in the subject, because maybe you've not done it in like 5 years, I would suggest that you take a subject enhancement course. So this is a 200-hour course that you take in the 6-week holidays before you start your initial teacher training year in September. And this course is designed for you to get a lot more confident in the subject before you start learning all about the professional side of teaching. So the pedagogy, how students learn, how to progress in students' exam style revision, etc. So just to summarise, the ITT year is not going to make you a professional at the subject specifically that you're teaching. It's designed to help you through sort of subject sessions, but mainly it's about how to be the best teacher possible. So if you're not confident on the subject, take that subject enhancement course that could be offered to you in the 6-week holidays. The third similarity between the two routes is all to do with finance. So this is a bit of a difficult subject because it changes year to year. So when I was doing my initial teacher training year, I was offered bursaries and also maintenance loans. So both routes, you apply for loans just like you did during your undergraduate or university career. So that maintenance loan is there to sort of help provide for you because you're not going to be getting paid during your SCITT or your PGCE year. So the similarity between the two of them, you need to apply for maintenance loans at university. There's also the option for you to get a tax-free bursary. It does change from year to year. When I was doing RE, I was given £9,000 bursary just to train as an RE teacher. But this current year, they have scrapped a lot of bursaries. So that means that you really do need to think about financially how you would be able to survive for those 9 months. So maintenance loan is the main thing. Make sure you apply if you're doing a PGCE or a SCITT, because you're not going to be paid for your teaching. The fourth similarity between the two routes is that they're both assessed against the teaching standards. So throughout your year, whether you choose a PGCE route or the SCITT route, you are going to become very familiar with the 8 teaching standards. So certain standards, teaching standard 8 is all about wider responsibilities, how you're contributing to the ethos of the school, how you're helping out with other teachers, etc. We've got other teaching standard that's all to do with like high expectations, how you're pushing those students that are more higher ability. Another teaching standard is about sort of adapting your resources to help those students that are a little bit it could be that they've got special educational needs, it could be that they're PP students, so pupil premium, so how are you adapting your lessons to sort of suit them? So you're going to become very familiar with the teaching standards in order to become an outstanding teacher by the end of your teacher training year. And the fifth and final similarity is that you get mentor support throughout the whole process. So you are going to feel really supported in whichever route you decide to take. So you're going to be having someone in each placement that sort of guides you through things, looks at your lesson plans, helps you to become the best teacher possible. So it can feel really difficult, it can feel demanding during your teacher training year, but you've got that support, whether that be from university lecturers, seminar leaders, or teachers within school that are your mentors and the full SCITT lead. So whichever way, you're going to be supported, so don't you worry about it. Okay, so before we move on to the differences, I just wanted to clarify, of course, different people are going to be having different experiences. So I've only named 5 similarities. However, there will be many things that cross over. If you have a friend that does a PGCE and you're doing a SCITT, you can definitely compare and contrast your experiences. So there will be more similarities, but these are just the 5 that I've covered in this video. Okay, now onto the differences, which is going to be really important in order for you to decide which route you want to take. The first difference is that you are chucked into the deep end, but in different ways. So what I mean by this is that you're chucked into the deep end with SCITT in a practical sense. So if you have just finished your undergraduate degree and you've maybe done 3 years at a certain field, and then you're thinking about going into teaching, but you're a little bit more nervous, the SCITT route might seem a bit intimidating because you are going into the school from day one, okay? It's not like you've got a month at university just to ease you in. You are being chucked into being this teacher presence from day one, okay? So in a practical sense, you're chucked in with SCITT. You're chucked in more theoretical ways with the PGCE. So you have more chance to sort of become a little bit more comfortable with the pedagogy, the theoretical side of teaching before you start your placements. So if you want to maybe sort of ease into that transition of uni to a teacher, the PGCE route might seem a little bit better for you. But it's chucked into the deep end in the theoretical sense because depending on which university you go to, you might have more assignments in comparison to the SCITT. So alongside your whole teacher training journey, you are also getting assessed against a university for essay writing. So you could be doing assignments, presentations that you get graded on. Same to university, a first class standard, a 2-1, a 2-2 standard, etc. So there may be more assignments in the PGCE year, and there might be more reading lists necessary because it is very similar to university. So that is just something to bear in mind. Which one would you prefer? More the theoretical side, that is a little bit more gradual in getting to teaching, or SCITT, going into the school from day one? The second difference between the two of them is the distance you are required to go. So I mean this in a practical sense. Your SCITT, it is designed to be a local placement, okay? So it could be maybe your furthest placement is around 45 minutes, which can still seem a bit of a stretch, but ideally your placement schools, so it's going to be 2 different schools, are going to be within your local area, so it's not going to be too far. So actually, if you prefer that idea of not having to travel too far, because it can be really exhausting actually, having to do the commute, maybe the SCITT is better for you. Your PGCE, I know people that had to travel an hour and a half, etc. every day to get to a school. So if you're not too fussed about that, and maybe you've got like a podcast on the go throughout your travelling, maybe you'd be absolutely fine on the PGCE. Number 3 is your teaching time. So with the SCITT, like I was saying beforehand, you chucked into the deep end in the practical sense, but actually in the teaching sense, it really does ease you in. So you start off in your first placement, your first school, and the most that you're going to be teaching is between 8 to 12 hours. Okay, so actually it's not like you're having to do a full teacher timetable of like 20 odd hours in 1 week straight away. It really does ease you in. You start on with maybe a 15-minute starter activity 6 to 8 weeks into your half term, so it just starts off nice and easy, and it gradually gets a little bit more demanding throughout the time. Whereas I do know people that have done a PGC before where they've got their 2 placements, and because they've had that uni time of getting all the theoretical stuff in their brain and understanding pedagogy and things like that, they're expected to do the teaching sort of timetable, which is quite highly demanding, like from the first couple of weeks. So that is just something to bear in mind. Would you feel more at ease going down the university route of doing more workshops, lectures, seminars to prepare you for a quite high demanding placement time? Or would you prefer doing the SCITT route, which is from school in day one, but you're just creeping your toes in a little bit each week? So there are going to be more differences between the 2 routes as well, but I've just covered a few, and hopefully that has given you a little bit of an idea of which route maybe you would prefer to take. Again, if you are wanting a little bit more clarification on what the SCITT route is, look at the video that I mentioned before at the start of this one, just to give you a bit more understanding of what the SCITT route is like. I know I've been talking about how demanding the year could be, and it might seem really, really intimidating, But actually, with either route, like I was saying beforehand, you're going to be so supported, and if you are passionate about teaching, it makes the year so much more worthwhile. And though it can seem intense with the teacher timetable, actually you're going to nail it, okay? So don't worry about it. You've got the support, you've got the passion there. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have that, and you've got a whole experience of university to help you through the 9 months of the teacher training year, so don't you worry. Before I finish then, I did promise that I would give you my honest advice of which route that I think you should take. And I don't want to be biased, because I know that obviously so many different people have different opinions, and that is first of all something to bear in mind. It is ultimately your choice. I would suggest that if you want to be a teacher from day one, you like the practical side of it, go down the SCITT route. That is the route that I went down, that I loved. I felt so supported and felt like a teacher from day one, even though I felt like a child at the same time. So maybe practical side, SCITT, but that is not to say the PGCE could not be the right route for you. If you want to feel a little bit more comfortable and familiar with the university side of things, that is also really important to take into consideration. If you have learned something from this video, don't forget to give it a like, comment if you have maybe some other similarities or differences that you want to share with people as well. If you have done a PGCE and you want to share more knowledge, please comment below just to help other people, because it will be so useful for them. Because obviously I've mainly got SCITT experience and I've been asking around and researching about the PGCE, but ultimately your advice would be really helpful too. So subscribe to my channel if you want to be hearing some more content all to do with how to ace your teacher training year and how to get into the teaching world. Have a lovely day! Hello and welcome back to Learning with Liz. If you've not been visiting my channel before, I am Liz. Not been visiting? If you've not been visiting my channel, you should. Hello and welcome back to Learning with Liz. If you've not been visiting my channel. Okay.